What filtration is in the Nuvo 14? Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video by Nano Reef. So today, I'll be giving an update on the Nuvo 14 Peninsula tank. I want to share with you today about the filtration that I am using and I'm running on the Nuvo 14. If you are already well versed in filtration and just want to see the filtration I have on this tank, you can skip to the timestamp labeled Nuvo 14 filtration premise. Filtration is a widely talked about topic in the reef keeping, and there are many ways to have a successful reef tank, and it can be very overwhelming if you look through the possible filtrations needed for a reef tank, because I can assure you you'll be bombarded by the amount of possibilities and choices that you can put on a tiny tank of water. Filtration is a big deal because it is the heartbeat behind the tank. It keeps the whole system running, keeps your water pristine, and your water keeps your fishes and your corals alive. So today I just want to give a quick overview of the types of filtration in case you're not really familiar with it. The first type of filtration is mechanical filtration. It is the first line of defense. In essence, mechanical filtration is done by removing large particulates in the water, and you remove them most of the time manually from the system before they are able to break down into waste. So some common forms of mechanical filtration are filter socks, filter roll, filter floss, sponges, and even a protein skimmer. The second form of filtration is biological filtration. In essence, when most people talk about biological filtration, they talk about the nitrogen cycle, where beneficial bacteria breaks down and consume the ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. The biological filtration conversation is largely centered around the nitrogen cycle because nitrate is one of the key elements in algae growth in a tank. You often hear people talking about the biological media such as blocks or plates, as well as live rock and sand, and these are often talked about because it is what gives room for the beneficial bacteria to grow and thrive. The last form of filtration is chemical filtration. It refers to both the chemical media or additives that you add into the tank. And what happens is that as the water interacts with the media or additives, the media or additives remove things out from the tank, and in most cases, they are things like metals, toxins, or even nutrients, helping to keep the tank in pristine condition. Some common chemical filtrations that you will hear about are carbon, GFO, or any phosphate or nitrate removers. For the Nuvo 14, I have broken down the filtration into the 3 different types of filtration as well. However, please bear in mind that the filtration methods will not work for any tank and all tanks, and is very dependent on many other factors such as how often you feed your tank, the types of corals you want to keep, as well as your maintenance schedule. The Nuvo 14 is a AIO or all-in-one tank, which is largely different than other tank types such as having a sump or a canister filter. And even if you have an all-in-one tank and you have to follow everything that I do to the T, your tank and my tank will still be different because every single reef tank is unique. However, with that being said, doesn't mean that every single information on filtration is worthless. I'm just hoping to give you more of a rough guideline rather than a rulebook of what can work in a nano all-in-one tank. Before I deep dive into the filtration, it will be super helpful if you could hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well. It will go a long way in supporting me. For mechanical filtration, I'm using filter floss, which I will be changing every 3 to 4 days. And filter floss, in my opinion, is the best option in an all-in-one tank because it possesses the best of both worlds of the filter sock and the filter sponge. The drawback of using a filter sponge is that for many of the filter sponges, the holes are rather large, so less particulates will get trapped by the filter sponge. With filter floss, it is very similar with a filter sock where you are able to remove a vast majority of large particulates because of the size of the hole of the filter floss or the filter sock. The drawback though of having a filter sock in an all-in-one tank is that it takes up a lot of space. To be specific, most filter socks takes up an entire chamber. In an all-in-one tank, space is very limited, so you want to maximize the space that you have. If you have a filter sock that fills up the entire chamber, you only have one more chamber for other filtration methods. For biological filtration, I'm using the Aqua Forest Biofuel. Based on my tank size, it is recommended to use around 120 grams of media, but because the tank that I'm currently having has very little rocks, I'm using 200 grams of biomedia just to give the boost in terms of biological filtration. Many of the biological media manufacturers have directions to the amount of media that you should use on the tank, but usually I like to play it a little safe because in most cases, for biological filtration, having excess is better than having lack. For the chemical filtration, I'm using ChemiPure Blue in the tank. It is a mixture of carbon and resin that removes nitrate and phosphate in the tank. I always believe in having some form of carbon in the tank to remove metals or other poisonous substances from the tank. It also works very well hand in hand with my biological filtration to help to remove nitrates and phosphates. Currently, I have not placed it in the tank because I don't want to place it in the tank during the cycle as it might affect the cycling process. I will start adding it to the tank when I start to add livestock. In contrast with biological filtration, I always err on the side of caution in terms of how much chemical filtration I use. For example, it's recommended to use 3 ChemiPure Blue Nano packets for my tank size, but I'll be only using 2 packets. And the reason for that is that with chemical filtration, it not only pulls out negative elements in the tank, but other important chemicals such as trace elements from the tank as well. So generally, I like to keep it lesser than recommended. So that's the filtration that I am currently running on the Nuvo 14. I'm not running any protein skimmer or any biopellet reactor because I just want to keep things simple. But I do leave myself the option of adding it in the event where I do need it. If you have any questions about filtration or about my tank's filtration, you can leave the questions in the comment section and I will surely reply to them. As always, I'll keep you guys updated on the status of the tank next week. And with that, I think I will end my video right here. Thank you for watching, stay safe, love your tank, till next time, see ya!